Now, from that spirited conversation here with Victor Olo, we change gears now and talk about, sorry about that, we talk about tech and trends. There's a topic that will interest even the younger generation because they are more gravitating towards tech and what it has to offer. And in studio, I'm joined by James Toto, who is Vance Computers CEO. Karibu sana.
Thanks for having me.
How are you doing this morning?
So far, so good. It's
Yes.
bit cold, but it was
So who is James Toto?
James Toto. James Toto is the CEO of Vance Computers,
Yes.
who has been doing systems for quite a while.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say the last 5-10 years or so, yeah.
All right, let's get into this. We are talking about tech and trends. So what are some of the emerging trends apart from AI? Because right now, everybody is talking about AI.
I think to take a step back, I would say not so long ago, we used to have like desktop applications. For the most part, things were very local.
Yeah.
Local basically means if you wanted to do something, you had to have the whole aspect of it with you. But since, I think in the last 5 years or so, things have moved to the web. You can call it the web, others call it cloud, whatever works for you. So things have moved to the web for the most part. And that's where I think we are now.
These trends, why are they important?
When I was in school, I was told that if you do IT, you must accept that you'll be in school for the rest of your life. And I think it's true. Because technology keeps on changing. Even if you start with things like operating systems, like from where we started with Windows 90, there was DOS, Windows 95, then Windows NT. We've come all the way to now Windows 12, whatever it is. So things have actually kept on changing. And the beauty about it is that as they change, they become easier. They make, okay, I'm not saying that I wouldn't say they become easier, but they are easier to use than they were before. Like someone who was using DOS, you had to know those commands. You only had a black screen, and then you would have to get the commands right. These days, if you're running on Windows 10, you only need to move your mouse, and you can click and drag, drop, whatever. So as technology keeps on changing, things become simpler to use. Programming these days have become a lot easier. When I started out, I had not done any programming myself. I had done networking. But today you can be able to create something and it works. So as tech changes, so to speak, things become easier to use as you progress. Yeah.
Now, we are living in an age of artificial intelligence, but some would think this is a preserve of big enterprises. Why should, is that true, or are other small enterprises, can they take AI as something to enhance their productivity?
I think AI has just taken what was being done before, and it has made things simpler. For example, okay, not too long ago, we only knew Google. If you wanted to know anything, you had to go and Google.
Yes.
These days, you do it on AI. AI is, I would say, in my view, an advanced Google, so to speak. So AI basically has made things much, much easier. And in terms of small businesses taking up AI, I think anyone who wants to make progress must embrace IT. If you don't embrace technology, then you are lost. From where I see it, because like, for example, if you look at what we do, the way we used to do things 10 years ago is very different from the way we are doing things today. 10 years ago, if you wanted to set up a system, you had to get like a server, LAN cables, do the local networking and stuff. These days, you only require to have a computer that has internet. In terms of servers, we no longer do servers locally. They are hosted on the cloud. So AI is going to make things easy for everybody. But of course, people argue that it can be abused. You can do voice manipulation, for example, to make someone sound like someone else. Everything comes with its own risks. And some of those inherent risks in AI, I think they can be mitigated one way or the other. Because from where I see it, we can't run away from it. The best thing to do from where I see it would be to just embrace it as best as we can, and we make the best use of it.
So from a business perspective, there is some level of revolutionization that has happened.
Yes. When businesses move to the web, anyone in the business can tell you that software costs have come down, for example, by between 30% to about 90%. A product that was costing 100,000 10 years ago, you can get that same product, if not better, at around 10, 20,000 today. Why that is happening is because, for example, for like in terms of like what we do ourselves,
Yes.
when we did desktop applications, it was one of thing. You would go to a client, you would set them up, and then that would be it. Today, a customer doesn't have to buy the software. Number one, they don't have to buy the hardware, or the hardware that they require then. Because these days you only require what, for example, the client interfaces, not the storage and stuff. So in terms of the hardware, the cost comes down. In terms of the software, for example, you don't have to buy the software. You can do leasing. Leasing basically means you don't buy the software, you only pay for what you are using. It's like an example I like using is, for example, when we talk about your rent, for example.
Yes.
If you are living in a house where you are paying 30K per month, if the landlord comes and says, this house is 30K per month, for you to live here for the next 5 years, you pay me 30 times 12 times 5, do you want to pay that much money upfront? No. The same aspect would apply in software. So instead of asking someone to give you like 100,000, for example, you tell them, we set you up, we'll be supporting you, then on a monthly basis, you'll be paying subscription. That means that you can have a good product at a very affordable price. So in terms of, as technology keeps on changing, it's making things more affordable.
So in other words, it's like if you're doing business, based from what you're saying, you are doing business yet, yes, but you're looking or you are creating longevity in terms of your operations.
Yes, we are trying to establish or to create long-term relationships with your customers. Because if someone is going to run your product for the next 2, 3, 5 years, paying you a monthly subscription, it means you must maintain that contact for those 5 years, as opposed to what was happening before. Because what was happening before, you would set up a client, for example, and then for as long as machines are working, there's no link, so to speak. But these days, you must ensure that the link exists. Otherwise, the payment stops coming at the end of the month.
Yes. Still on artificial intelligence and small businesses, are there practices that they can implement as they adopt the existing or new AI tools?
From where I sit, I would say yes. For instance, basically what systems do or what technology does, technology just makes either management easier and more accurate, for example. So for as long as you have a good product and you implement it as it should, because again, there's a big difference between having a good product and using it properly as it should. So for as long as you have a good product and use it as it should, then we should be able to reap the benefits of this, of AI.
Yes. As we talk about tech and trends, there's the aspect of digital life, where especially the younger generation, they are more gravitating towards the online space, working online, remote work. The aspect, are we likely to see where there is a thin line between online life, that is virtual life, and physical aspect of it?
I think if you compared our old generation with the new one, for example,
Yes.
the way we used to do things is very different from the way they are doing this today. In our days, if you wanted to talk to a guy, you had to do a letter, stuff like that. These days, you just start with a WhatsApp chat and take it from there. So I'm not sure that you go back to where we were. I'm also not sure, because like, for example, the digital space can be quite challenging sometimes, because you can wake up in the morning, talk to someone on WhatsApp, log into an e-commerce website, order for your food, it's delivered to your place, and the guy who delivers drops it on your desktop and goes. Then you work remotely from your house, like from say 8 to 5. So what you have done, you've spent a whole day without any human interaction per se. The last time I checked, they used to say that man is a social animal. So I'm not so sure how not having people in your space is going to work in the long run. I mean, in the long run. So yes, the digital space is a fairly good place to be, but there's also that aspect of the physical human interaction. And so I don't know how the new generation is going to. You are calling it alpha?
Yeah, it's the next generation is called alpha.
Yeah, I'm not so sure how alpha is going to be to handle that space, but I think at some point we need to remember that man is a social animal. We are social beings. So you want that physical. If you have ever tried to be on your own for about 2-3 days, sometimes it becomes too much. You want
so given that now that let me say the world is mostly on the digital space, the next generation that is alpha now, are we likely to see, or are they likely to gravitate away from tech and place value more on the physical aspect of interaction?
That's a hard question to answer, because from where I see, like I said, from where we were and where people are today, things have actually changed quite a bit, and that's why Generation Z can afford to do what they've done and succeeded, because they see things differently, they do things differently.
Yes.
So this new one now, I'm not so sure. Because again, if we all moved, if you have ever been to a place like maybe the US or the UK, you realize that people are so busy with their stuff that the social aspect of life is normally missing, and it's a very bad place to be. So I'm not so sure if you're going to replicate what is happening there here or how it will play out. I'm not so sure about that part.
Okay. How about now we are in the age of generative AI. How is that impacting software development and also the aspect of content creation?
Talking of software development, it has made software development 100 times easier. Like I said today, even if you have no background in programming, for example, and you sat down for maybe 3, 4, 5 hours, you'll be able to start developing the ability to develop systems. And that was not the case 5 years ago. That was not the case 10 years ago. Today, you can, for example, design a website on your own as a layman, for as long as you have very basic computer knowledge. You can sit down and, for example, use some templates and come up with a fairly good and functional website. So programming is getting easier as we progress, which is a good thing. But of course that comes with challenges, because sometimes, for example, you go to the market today, you can get someone saying that who has sat down somewhere and they've come up with a product that is not market driven, because product should be market driven. You can be tech driven because you can say 1 + 1 is 2, but is that what the market wants? So programming is going to has become a whole lot easier. The only aspect that is missing on that aided programming is the market aspect of it. So if you can get the market requirements, you match them with the AI aided programming, then you'll be able to develop a very good product.
So there's no way that this aided AI programming is going to push out the physical developer.
I would say it's going to push out the physical developers who will not be in sync with the new technology. Like, for example, guys who are used to doing programming using Visual Basic 6 or 7, that was a node programming language that we used to have. If you got stuck there, today you cannot do anything. So for as long as the developers keep on embracing the new technologies, they'll be okay. But if you get stuck on one technology, then you'll be out of the...
that underscores the importance of reskilling and upskilling.
Yeah, if you are in IT, you must do that all the time. Masomo is continuous.
Yes, and that is going to at least put them at par with what is happening. Now, let's talk about another aspect within the tech and trends. There's the quantum mechanics, quantum computing. How is it different from artificial intelligence?
You see, quantum mechanics or quantum computing, I would believe it's like trying to, AI for the most part is software driven. Like, for example, if you do ChatGPT, for example, it's basically software driven. The quantum computing now is now the hardware aspect of what you're trying to achieve on. I don't know if I'm answering your question properly.
Yes.
I'm saying, like, if you talk of AI, that for the most part is the software aspect of it.
Yes.
So the quantum computing now becomes the hardware aspect of it.
So it's about the mechanics of
now what you've done in software, because software has to marry with hardware for you to deliver.
Are there applications of quantum mechanics, quantum computing?
I think there are systems that will help you in terms of getting into that space.
Even in machine learning?
Yes.
Okay. Now, there's also the aspect, internet, as we say, is the bedrock of the digital space. There's also the aspect of, right now we are talking about 5G, the rollout of 5G. How is this transforming connectivity and internet speeds and latency?
Like I said, if you are doing cloud computing, you require internet. So for as long as we have moved from 2G, 3G, 4G, now you're on 5G. So for as long as you have stable internet, and for as long as you have fast internet, then you can reap the benefits of cloud computing, for example. Like now in my space, if you don't have internet, you cannot run my applications. So for as long as we have good internet, and that has changed. And I think in the last 1 year or so, there has been a very big shift in terms of internet, in terms of availability and pricing. It has become very, very affordable. I think because of the many players in the market.
What about its impact on aspects like streaming, gaming, and remote work?
Like I said, the faster the internet, the stable the internet, the more practical it is for you now to do. Because like for example, if you try to do streaming on 2G and someone else did streaming on 5G, so worlds apart.
Given the kind of advancements that we are witnessing today, are we going to see a full, or people embrace more the aspect of working from home?
I think, especially after COVID, that's now the new normal. These days, someone doesn't have to physically, unless you are doing a job that requires physical human interaction. And even in that case, sometimes, for example, even in surgeries, they are being done remotely these days. You can do those computer-aided surgeries, for example. So I think after COVID, the aspect of working from home became the new normal. And on the aspect of internet, for as long as you have good internet, you can basically be able to work from anywhere. Because like even in our space today, if a client has a problem, let's say they're in Mombasa, for example, and we are in Nairobi, for as long as we have good internet and they have good internet, we are able to connect to their machine and you can sort them remotely. So that happens a lot. So, and that's now like for example in our space.
Yes.
There are guys who do like, for the most part, people, unless what you are doing requires like a very physical presence.
Yes.
Working from home is now the new normal.
How do you rate, from where you stand, how do you rate our internet penetration within the country?
I think we are fairly good. I think I've gone to quite a number of places in the country. And okay, there are some small pockets where you go and there's no net at all. But for the most part, I think penetration is it's fairly good for the most part.
How would you say the technological trends are shaping career options for people?
I think the traditional careers that we believed were good, we are now having new options. If you, for example, anybody who has done, like guys who have done programming, I have guys who are my friends who do programming, for example. A friend of mine called George, he works in Nakuru, and he works remotely, by the way, and he makes a lot of money. I'm not so sure that the kind of money he makes is what another career that we have always considered good before makes. So because of the advancement, people in that space, as they advance, as technology advances, are making fairly good money.
Very good money.
So that means that we are shifting from becoming what was good maybe 10 years ago to a new space that was not there 10 years ago. Not necessarily, maybe it was not there 10 years ago, but it's now available today, and they are paying fairly well.
Is the IT world experiencing a surge towards people where they are gravitating more towards those jobs because they, in a way, allow for flexibility?
There is a lot of flexibility, yes, and the pay, the money you can make is also good money.
Yes.
Well, of course, that's relative, but comparing with what the other fields are making, I would say it's good money. So people are, anybody in the right space. Not, and my only challenge would be, don't just do a course in IT.
Yes.
Do a course that you are almost sure is going to address a need. Like, for example, if you did programming today, if you did something like cyber security, there are some courses that you can do and you're almost sure no matter what happens utakuwa tu sawa, you'll be okay.
Kuna mtu alisema utamua kazi ni pesa. Is that true?
Yes. Well, I'm not saying that there are bad courses, but there are some very generic courses also. Don't be generic, be specific.
So you should not be driven by that I want to make this amount of money. It should be something that you want to solve a problem.
Yeah, it should be a passion. I normally believe that if you can solve a problem, money normally follows that. Money comes after you solve a problem.
Yes, because many people would want, I hear many people asking, oh, I want to get into online business because people are making money. So the intention in the first place should be clear.
The intention should be clear. It should always be clear in your mind, what is the end game in what I'm trying to do? What problem am I solving in the market? What new solutions am I bringing in the market? If you can identify that niche, you'll be okay.
There's the aspect of sustainable tech and there are innovations towards this. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
You know, like I was saying, these days, in terms of new innovations, we used to believe that if you wanted to do shopping, for example, you had to literally go to a place, a physical shop, for example, and do your shopping from there. These days, you can do it online. The example I was giving you, you're able to look for a product in China, and then you're able to pay for the product, you're able to get it shipped, and you get it here. That will not happen without tech, for example. Because sometimes, even as you try to engage those guys from China, they type in Chinese. You can't speak Chinese, you can't read Chinese. So what you have to do is you have to copy that, then get a translation, and you're able to communicate, again, using tech. So tech, in its innovativeness, I would say, has really solved most of the challenges that we would otherwise have been unable to solve.
Could you say that even this advancement in tech has, to some extent, helped people build trust between the consumer and the business owner?
I would say there are platforms that guarantee that because sometimes when you're doing business with someone you cannot see physically, for example, there has to be some element of trust. Now the challenge is sometimes if the platform you're using is not like certified, so to speak, chances of getting someone who is not trustworthy also actually exists. So I think for the most part, for as long as the platforms available for the online engagements are authentic, the aspect, and they're able to follow through and make sure that, for example, if you are to buy something from this platform, the platform ensures that they can guarantee that you're going to get either your product or your money back. That makes it possible for people to believe in that platform. Otherwise, there are chances of getting people who are not as authentic.
Can we say what is happening today in the world of tech and the trends that we are experiencing can be used to maybe predict what the future holds in, say, like the next 10 years?
Yes, you can, for example, try and see possibly the most profitable courses in the next 10 years, the most viable products in the next 10 years, the most viable business ideas, because you must ask yourself, when you talk of AI, for example, what you've been in that AI space. When you talk of these new innovations, again, what is in that space of the new innovations? Then you project yourself and ask yourselves, what will the market require in the next 2, 3, 5 years to embrace the new technologies? Then we can come up with whatever we want to come up with.
Yes. Your parting shot.
I would say technology is here to stay. Let's embrace it and see what happens.
Yes. Asante sana. That is James Toto from Vance Computers talking to us about tech and trends. And this is where we end this conversation. My name is Migwi. Don't go too far. Vivian Ndegwa will be right back with more. Stay with us.